That was the piece of wisdom my grandfather handed down to me. It sounded like foolishness, the opposite of everything sensible people said. But he had a reason, a story from his own life that he said I must never forget. In a village where life was measured in harvests, there lived a man the others quietly called the Dreamer. While his neighbors worked their fields from dawn till dusk, he was most often found on his porch. He looked out at the hills as if waiting for an answer to arrive. He spoke of grand plans, a thriving shop, fertile land, a life of ease. This life would be built not by sweat, but by a clever idea just over the horizon. His wife, her hands etched with the lines of constant work, would watch him. She would softly say, "A wish feeds no one. Only hands can do that." He would simply shrug and reply, "My time is coming." But time has a way of passing, and life has a way of growing heavy. One evening, his grandson, a boy too thin, with eyes that held both innocence and hunger, tugged at his sleeve. "Grandfather," the boy whispered, "is there any bread?" The old woman went to the cupboard and opened it. There was nothing but shadows inside. The dreamer looked at the empty space, and in that moment, his beautiful plans turned to ash. You cannot eat a dream. You cannot fill your stomach with a someday. He did not sleep that night. When the sun rose, he walked to the largest farm in the valley and asked for work. The labor was a punishment. The sun blazed, his back screamed, his soft hands tore and bled. In the middle of a field, bent double, he thought, "This is a different kind of trap." Each night, he came home with a few coins. "It is something," he'd tell his grandson. But it was never enough. The money vanished swallowed by a doctor's bill, a funeral, the simple, relentless need for food. They were always one step behind, the leak in the roof a constant reminder. Then one day, he heard the village elders talking. "The secret is in the jar," one said. "What you save, you keep. It is your shield against misfortune." Hope, fragile and new, stirred in him. That night, he found an old clay jar and hid it beneath his bed. Each week, after buying only the barest necessities, he would drop a coin inside. The clink was a sweet sound, a tiny promise for tomorrow. His grandson found the jar one afternoon. "What is this?" the boy asked. "Our future," the man said, a hint of pride in his voice. But this future was bought with hunger. He went without new clothes. Their meals grew smaller, quieter. His wife finally looked at him, her eyes tired. "What good is a full jar if our bones are empty?" she asked. "You will understand," was all he could say. Months later, the jar was finally, beautifully full. It felt like safety made solid. He carried it to the market and poured the coins before a grain seller. "I will take 3 sacks," he announced. The seller counted and shook his head. "Prices have risen. This buys 1 sack and a little less." The man stood frozen. "Money loses its strength if it does not move," the seller said, as simply as stating a fact. The walk home was the longest of his life. That night, under the flickering candlelight, he poured the coins out. He counted them again and again. His grandson watched him. The man had no answer. A deep winter settled in his heart. One morning, sitting on his porch, he watched his neighbors pass by. One carried a basket of fresh eggs. Another had bottles of rich milk. They walked with a calmness he had forgotten. And then he remembered a question his grandson had asked years before. It was from when the boy still believed in his grandfather's dreams. What if we had chickens? This time, he did not just dream. He acted. He took the last of the jar's money and bought a few scrawny hens. When he set them loose, his grandson laughed and chased them. "We have an egg factory," he cheered. At first, it was just an egg or two a day. They ate some and sold the others. With those new coins, they bought another hen. The old man began to keep a careful record. Every egg had a purpose. Slowly, their yard came alive. The steady clucking was the sound of a new kind of hope. Neighbors came to buy what they produced. For the first time, his labor did not feel like a sentence. It felt like building. One afternoon, he held a warm brown egg in his palm. He showed it to his grandson. "This," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "is worth more than a mountain of dead coins. It feeds us today. It can become a dozen chickens tomorrow. Its value does not vanish." The boy hugged him. "So you are not just a dreamer anymore," the boy said. Tears filled the old man's eyes. "No, child," he replied. "I have finally learned to see." The clay jar stayed under the bed, forgotten. And when people spoke of the wisdom of saving money, the old man would point to his bustling yard. He would share the truth he had earned. Saving money is like trying to hold sunlight in your hands. Even the smallest seed can grow into a forest that shelters you for a lifetime. And that is why my grandfather told me, never just save your money, make it breathe.